When you drop your expectations that a person, a situation, a place, or an object should fulfill you, it's easier to be present in this moment because you're no longer looking to the next one. Most people want to get what they want, whereas the secret is to want what you get at this moment. Suffering cracks open the shell of ego, and then comes a point when it has served its purpose. Suffering is necessary until you realize it is unnecessary. Not until you surrender does the spiritual dimension become a living reality in your life. When you do, the energy you emanate and that then runs your life is of a much higher vibrational frequency than the mind energy that still runs the world. What will be left of all the fearing and wanting associated with your problematic life situation that every day takes up most of your attention? A dash, 1 or 2 inches long, between the date of birth and date of death on your gravestone. When you recognize that there is a voice in your head that pretends to be you and never stops speaking, you are awakening out of your unconscious identification with the stream of thinking. When you notice that voice, you realize that who you are is not the voice, the thinker, but the one who is aware of it. Facing facts is always empowering. When you completely accept this moment, when you no longer argue with what is, the compulsion to think lessens and is replaced by an alert stillness. You are fully conscious, yet the mind is not labeling this moment in any way. It is a shift from identification with form, the thought or the emotion, to being and recognizing yourself as that which has no form, spacious awareness. Living up to an image that you have of yourself or that other people have of you is inauthentic living.
Don't forget to subscribe. Afterwards, the wisest and most spiritual books from the greatest authors await you every day. And now buckle up, sit back, and we'll begin.
Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. I'm grateful for always this moment, the now, no matter what form it takes. True intelligence operates silently. Stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. If the structures of the human mind remain unchanged, we will always end up recreating the same world, the same evils, the same dysfunction. Many people who are going through the early stages of the awakening process are no longer certain what their outer purpose is. What drives the world no longer drives them. Seeing the madness of our civilization so clearly, they feel somewhat alienated from the culture around them. Some feel that they inhabit a no-man's land between two worlds. They are no longer run by the ego, yet the arising awareness has not yet become fully integrated into their lives. Inner and outer purpose have not merged. At the deepest level, an open heart is spacious presence, in which the sense of separateness between yourself and the other dissolves, and there is the recognition of oneness, of shared consciousness. That recognition is love. Sensing the formless essence in another and recognizing it as one with your own essence, that's what love is. All this is an intrinsic part of the awakened consciousness and the revelation of the spiritual dimension of life. Suffering is necessary until you realize it is unnecessary. A great silent space holds all of nature in its embrace. It also holds you. If you are content with being nobody in particular, content not to stand out, you align yourself with the power of the universe. What looks like weakness to the ego is in fact the only true strength. This spiritual truth is diametrically opposed to the values of our contemporary culture and the way it conditions people to behave. Power over others is weakness disguised as strength. As you become comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life. It means fear is no longer a dominant factor in what you do and no longer prevents you from taking action to initiate change. Since ancient times, spiritual masters of all traditions have pointed to the now as the key to the spiritual dimension. Despite this, it seems to have remained a secret. The joy of being, which is the only true happiness, cannot come to you through any form, possession, achievement, person, or event, through anything that happens. That joy cannot come to you, ever. It emanates from the formless dimension within you, from consciousness itself, and thus is one with who you are. The key is to be in a state of permanent connectedness with your inner body, to feel it at all times. This will rapidly deepen and transform your life. The more consciousness you direct into the inner body, the higher its vibrational frequency becomes. Non-reaction to the ego and others is one of the most effective ways not only of going beyond ego and yourself but also of dissolving the collective human ego. It may look as if the situation is creating the suffering, but ultimately this is not so, your resistance is. To some people, surrender may have negative connotations, implying defeat, giving up, failing to rise to the challenges of life, becoming lethargic, and so on. True surrender, however, is something entirely different. It does not mean to passively put up with whatever situation you find yourself in and to do nothing about it. Nor does it mean to cease making plans or initiating positive action. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. If your relationship to the present moment is not right, nothing can ever be right in the future, because when the future comes, it's the present moment. Presence is when you're no longer waiting for the next moment, believing that the next moment will be more fulfilling than this one. Ultimately, there is no such thing as my consciousness, but just the one consciousness, and to sense your connectedness with the one, I can sense that continuously, which is why I can say that I know this for sure, to sense that connectedness with the one consciousness that pervades the universe, which in some traditions is called God, to sense that frees you of fear, from anxiety, and takes you to a very deep place of peace, but also of heightened aliveness. You are the sky. The clouds are what happens, what comes and goes. The beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the thinker. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. That thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind. You begin to awaken. Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Give up defining yourself, to yourself or to others. You won't die. You will come to life. And don't be concerned with how others define you. When they define you, they are limiting themselves, so it's their problem. Whenever you interact with people, don't be there primarily as a function or a role, but as the field of conscious presence. You can only lose something that you have, but you cannot lose something that you are. Discontent, blaming, complaining, self-pity cannot serve as a foundation for a good future, no matter how much effort you make. You cannot find yourself by going into the past. You can find yourself by coming into the present. There have been many people for whom limitations, failure, loss, or pain in whatever form turned out to be their greatest teacher. It taught them to let go of false self-images and superficial ego-dictated goals and desires. It gave them depth, humility, and compassion. It made them more real. Be aware of your breathing. Notice how this takes attention away from your thinking and creates space. People don't realize that now is all there ever is. There is no past or future except as memory or anticipation in your mind. Whatever you fight, you strengthen, and what you resist, persists. When you meet another human being, you meet the physical self, then you meet the psychological self that's behind it, which is their mental conditioning, their patterns of behavior, and so on. And then, there is a deeper level to every human being that transcends all of that. I can only sense that in another human being and relate to another human being on that deeper level if I have gone deep enough within myself. When there's somebody there who is transparent enough so that the stillness comes through unhindered, there's a reciprocal movement in you because the presence of stillness suddenly recognizes itself. The moment you realize you are not present, you are present. True salvation is freedom from negativity. I don't want it to end, and so, as every therapist knows, the ego does not want an end to its problems because they are part of its identity. If no one will listen to my sad story, I can tell it to myself in my head, over and over, and feel sorry for myself, and so have an identity as someone who is being treated unfairly by life or other people, fate or God. It gives definition to my self-image, makes me into someone, and that is all that matters to the ego. If you cannot be at ease with yourself when alone, you will seek a relationship to cover up your unease. You can be sure that the unease will then reappear in some other form within the relationship, and you will probably hold your partner responsible for it. Life has no opposite. The opposite of death is birth. Life is eternal. Life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at the moment. You might say, "What a dreadful day," without realizing that the cold, the wind, and the rain or whatever condition you react to are not dreadful. They are as they are. What is dreadful is your reaction, your inner resistance to it, and the emotion that is created by that resistance. And it is available now? Being rich/wealthy is being in touch with the fullness of life. When you are open to the present moment, what comes in is a gratitude for what is. When you are aligned with the present moment, there is a peace that comes, so it is like you are experiencing life for the first time, when you become present. When you are in a state of gratitude for what is, that is really what being wealthy means. If you are not in the state of either acceptance, enjoyment, or enthusiasm, look closely and you will find that you are creating suffering for yourself and others. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. The ultimate truth of who you are is not "I am this" or "I am that," but "I am." The more you are focused on time past and future, the more you miss the now, the most precious thing there is. Even if you achieve your outer purpose, it will never satisfy you if you haven't found your inner purpose, which is awakening, being present, being in alignment with life. True power comes out of the presence, it is the presence. You are awareness, disguised as a person. Once the pain body has taken you over, you want more pain. You become a victim or a perpetrator. You want to inflict pain, or you want to suffer pain, or both. There isn't really much difference between the two. You are not conscious of this, of course, and will vehemently claim that you do not want pain. But look closely and you will find that your thinking and behavior are designed to keep the pain going, for yourself and others. If you were truly conscious of it, the pattern would dissolve, for to want more pain is insanity, and nobody is consciously insane. When you say yes to the isness of life, when you accept this moment as it is, you can feel a sense of spaciousness within you that is deeply peaceful. Love is a state of being. Your love is not outside, it is deep within you. You can never lose it, and it cannot leave you. It is not dependent on some other body, some external form. Become friendly with the present moment, because if you do not become friendly with the present moment, you cannot become friendly with life. Being at ease with not knowing is crucial for answers to come to you. If I find here and now unacceptable, I have 3 choices. 1. Totally accept it. 2. Change it. 3. Remove myself from the situation. That is taking responsibility for my life. Negative states of mind, such as anger, resentment, fear, envy, and jealousy, are products of the ego. If you don't mind being unhappy, what happens to the unhappiness? Nothing that you plan is going to work out. Everything is going to be totally different than the way you expected, and things will constantly challenge you. Wherever you look, the world is not as solid it seems to be. Being aware of your breath forces you into the present moment, the key to all inner transformation. Whenever you are conscious of the breath, you are absolutely present. You may also notice that you cannot think and be aware of your breathing. Conscious breathing stops your mind. Acceptance of the unacceptable is the greatest source of grace in this world. There is a fine balance between honoring the past and losing yourself in it. To love is to recognize yourself in another. Many people identify their sense of self with the problems they have, or think they have. You all know the saying, which is very true: what you resist persists. And I'm sure many of you have already found that out in your life. And then suddenly, when you let go of resistance, you let go of an attachment to something. I need this to happen in order to be happy. I don't want what is, I want something else. To be okay with what is, which is the simplicity of this moment, is the beginning of true change. Here is a new spiritual practice for you: don't take your thoughts too seriously. Whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from the world. When you listen to the voice in your head, listen to it impartially. That is to say, do not judge. You'll soon realize, there is the voice, and here I am listening to it, watching it. This I am realization, this sense of your own presence, is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. When you are present, when your attention is fully in the now, presence will flow into and transform what you do. There will be a quality and power in it. You are present when what you are doing is not primarily a means to an end, money, prestige, winning, but fulfilling in itself, when there is joy and aliveness in what you do. Defining yourself through thought is limiting yourself. Do you really need to mentally label every sense, perception, and experience? Do you really need to have a reactive like/dislike relationship with life where you are in almost continuous conflict with situations and people? Or is that just a deep-seated mental habit that can be broken? Not by doing anything, but by allowing this moment to be as it is. It is important to realize that a large percentage of what we hear or see on the news focuses on those places where there is violent conflict. It gives us a slightly or very distorted view of what is going on because there are many other parts of the planet where there is no violent conflict, but that is not on the news. Don't seek happiness. If you seek it, you won't find it, because seeking is the antithesis of happiness. All it takes is a simple choice, a simple decision. No matter what happens, I will create no more pain for myself. I will create no more problems. As long as you make an identity for yourself out of pain, you cannot be free of it. Is there a difference between happiness and inner peace? Yes. Happiness depends on conditions being perceived as positive, inner peace does not. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could spare them from all suffering? No, it wouldn't. They would not evolve as human beings and would remain shallow, identified with the external form of things. Suffering drives you deeper. The paradox is that suffering is caused by identification with form and erodes identification with form. A lot of it is caused by the ego, although eventually suffering destroys the ego, but not until you suffer consciously. An enlightened person or business is not concerned primarily with making money, because when you are concerned with making money you want the future more than the present. Whenever you want the future more than you want the present, true intelligence cannot flow into what you do, because it can do so only when you are totally aligned with the present moment. Humanity is reaching the end of the evolutionary stage of ego. The closer we get to the end, the more dysfunctional humanity becomes. Worry pretends to be necessary but serves no useful purpose. Nothing has happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now. The source of all abundance is not outside of you. It's a part of who you are. Love, joy, and peace cannot flourish until you have freed yourself from mind dominance. You cannot be both unhappy and fully present in the now. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find your here and now intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options: remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. If you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options, and you must choose now. Then accept the consequences. Choice implies consciousness, a high degree of consciousness. Without it, you have no choice. Choice begins the moment you disidentify from the mind and its conditioned patterns, the moment you become present. Nobody chooses dysfunction, conflict, pain. Nobody chooses insanity. They happen because there is not enough presence in you to dissolve the past, not enough light to dispel the darkness. You are not fully here. You have not quite woken up yet. In the meantime, the conditioned mind is running your life. When you are trapped in a nightmare, your motivation to awaken will be so much greater than that of someone caught up in a relatively pleasant dream. Words reduce reality to something the human mind can grasp, which isn't very much. Neither failure nor success has the power to change your inner state of being. Don't wait to be successful at some future point. Have a successful relationship with the present moment and be fully present in whatever you are doing. That is success. The moment you put a mental label on another human being, you can no longer truly relate to that person. It then becomes possible to perpetrate any act of violence. Enlightenment means rising above thought, not falling back to a level below thought, the level of an animal or a plant. In the enlightened state, you still use your thinking mind when needed, but in a much more focused and effective way than before. You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That is how important you are. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. When you act out the present moment awareness, whatever you do becomes imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love, even the most simple action. Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die, and find that there is no death.
And that's not all. Our experts and regular viewers respond to all comments. Also check if you forgot to subscribe and set your bell to receive notifications about new audiobooks and other useful self-development materials that we release regularly. Join in the discussions, don't forget to give likes and, if possible and inspired, support the development of the channel financially. All useful links will be in the description and the first attached comment. Goodness, love and wisdom to all. And now move on to watch the next part of the video at the links below, or choose something from the playlists of the channel and those you see on the screen.